Did you ever feel cut off from your kids who don't understand why, after numerous older parents at a specific age accidentally cross lines that result in their kids' frustration? They're weighed down or even subtly bitter. By the time we become aware of it, the quiet change in tone or that worn-out expression in their eyes has already established itself. Yet this is what it's like to live in peace. It's not about stooping in later life, going above and beyond to satisfy your family, about being wise enough to refrain from what makes them leave in silence, and the bravery to establish a clear but gentle, in today's video, set personal boundaries. The 7 items we will go over are elderly parents ought to keep in mind if they wish to prevent animosity from their young people and spend their later years with calm and decorum, are not guidelines from a book on parenting. These are the things that most, although adult children won't say it aloud, they are profoundly affected by them, especially if you've ever desired to maintain your family's closeness without the sensation that you've become lost in the process. This is your video. First up, the weight of constant grievances. There's something that occurs as we get older that many of us don't even observe, that our tolerance is eroding. It's become a part of everyday life, and without intending to, we begin to speak more about what's incorrect rather than what's correct. We believe we're merely telling or being honest just the way it is. But to our kids, particularly those balancing their own lifestyles, jobs, children, and health issues, it can seem like a wave, but they are incapable of swimming against one that wears them out prior to their arrival. When each phone call becomes a list of annoyances or critiques of the world regarding neighbors, regarding politics, or regarding their decisions, it doesn't foster intimacy. Stealthily erodes the relationship, because even when people love you, this is the reality. They may become weary of you, but not because of your identity, but due to the energy that is there around you. Kids, no matter how old they get, they still have cravings. Warmth from their parents. They continue to wish to feel inspired rather than exhausted when they arrive, the initial words out of your mouth are about your back and knee, or the fact that nothing is going well in the universe. They start to pause, yet they still call, though they still come by occasionally. Not for very long, and then they cease, inquiring as to why you're still cold, but no longer in self-preservation. This does not require you to act fake. Life is wonderful. You don't need to bottle it up, appear to be happy, or put up discomfort when, although you're not. Power is balanced. Yes, share your reality, but make sure to wrap it up. Express thanks by discussing your suffering, but also discuss your hopes and voice any complaints if you must. However, conclude with something that creates your child feels as though their visit has ended. You didn't just endure yet another storm. I used to know a 71-year-old man named Frank who would start each discussion with a heavy, he would say, sigh, still alive, whenever eventually someone inquired about his condition. People ceased inquiring not because they didn't give a damn, but because they were unaware how to always carry that burden. After some contemplation, they checked in. Frank made an attempt at something new, began uttering the words, "It could be worse. Observe this morning's sun." And just like that, his kids began making more calls. Frequently, a slight shift in tone restores the warmth that you didn't recognize that number 2 had begun to diminish. The demand for continuous attention among the most agonizing burdens we bear. Entering old age frequently without being aware of it is the idea that we owe our kids something. Their time following all we've done since. Isn't everything we've given up just right? That they frequently visit and check in routinely and let everything go when we need them to believe that while reasonableness might subtly contaminate the relationship, the reality is that our kids are not the same young children who originally held on to our legs and begged for our assistance. They suddenly act like adults at every turn, battling their own conflicts while carrying their own misgivings about parenting, or perhaps overcoming obstacles we don't even observe when we anticipate their steady being there, when we blame them for not whether to visit or call more frequently enough that we make love a responsibility, and nothing drives people away more quickly than guilt-wrapped obligation. Does it? It's not that they don't love us. They don't give a damn. But life in particular is more overpowering than it is now. Appearances, and if each encounter with us comes with the idea that you ought to if you haven't called or come here, we turn into an additional cause of stress rather than a comfort, and they start to stay away from the calls. postpone the visits, and keep their distance. Emotionally, even when they appear, I physically recall Judith as a woman in her 70s who lived alone after she loved her after her husband passed away. Daughter, but whenever they talked, she said, "I assume you're too busy for your former mother once more." Her daughter is still visited, but she stopped caring. Sharing items ceased to last for a long time. Ceased to laugh as she had in the past. Didn't initially recognize it, but then once she shifted her strategy to, "I'm glad you phoned, and I enjoy listening to your everything changed," her daughter said. Started to open up once more, not out of obligation. However, out of happiness. Here's the most nobody ever says out loud. That love blossoms when it seems more like a decision than accountability if we wish to raise our kids to continue returning. Not only physically, however, we must emotionally make our presence feel like a gentle landing spot. Not an opportunity to feel guilty if you're still viewing this video and discovering these excellent insights. Kindly provide the comment number 2 below to inform me of your presence. And in case you haven't signed up yet, I advise you to sign up and activate the bell to ensure that you don't miss any of your support. It enables us to keep producing quality material to educate and motivate you right now. Let's go with the third urge. To have authority over their choices as parents. We spend decades raising our kids, assisting them in making decisions to protect themselves and steer clear of errors. That habit is difficult to break, particularly when we observe they're going in a direction that we disagree with. Using only one of the most significant traps we slip into old age is attempting to maintain that same control even when we provide direction that begins to feel more like interruption. If it concerns their marriage, nobody's home was where they worked, rear their children, or how frequently many elderly parents fall into giving ongoing guidance and then feeling pain when disregarded. But this is the section that hurts each time we attempt to intervene, even if we mean well. Risk giving them the impression that they're still being judged while still being a parent. Consider your feelings. If someone fixed every action you took in your 70s, they are frustrated. That's how they feel. And the more we exert pressure, the more they pull away. They soon stop inquiring for guidance rather than because they don't require, yet since they're not interested in the mental burden it carries. No, Harold, an 81-year-old guy whose son was having financial difficulties each time Harold tried to assist by giving a lecture. Him about defending and disparaging his career, making decisions, and bringing up his history of errors. The call finally ended. Harold believed his son lacked gratitude. However, this son was the true problem. Felt condemned and unsafe when here's what Harold finally moved from. You ought to take action based on your feelings. Regarding it, the door splintered open once more. Most individuals only desire that, especially to feel understood by their parents, feel appreciated, not corrected, and seen. Aging doesn't result from being it originates from the loudest voice in the room. Listening when no one else does by posing inquiries, not delivering directions while standing next to them. And whenever your kids experience that from you, trust is restored. At that point, they submit their concerns to once more, not out of habit, but because of the fourth measure of true comfort is the practice of calculating the score and monitoring who completed who last phoned or who forgot your number. Birthday may initially seem logical. However, this mental scorekeeping is quiet. Ledger of debtors that frequently accumulates resentment more quickly than we think transforms affectionate interactions into peaceful contests, and it challenges our kids. Away when we need them, especially the elder ones. Adults believe that I sacrificed to raise them so much that calling would be the least they could do. Me more. And just that thought admitted to her that it can turn any phone. Call into a measurement that was silent, and they didn't inquire about how the doctor's appointment ended abruptly, is sufficient, and the warmth in the relationship begins to fade. In actuality, the majority of grown children are overburdened and balancing multiple careers, financial well-being, and parenting concerns, and continuing to make an effort to support. When we portray their love as an obligation, they can never inadvertently pay us back. Give them the impression that they're failing. Even a woman comes to mind as they're attempting. Carol, 76, used to record how monthly visits from her daughter were frequent. She showed no one the list, although every missed visit was something she knew by heart. Exacerbated her dissatisfaction with each brief call, validated her concerns, and ultimately, she became so resentful that her daughter she didn't stop calling because she didn't care. But since she believed that nothing was Carol's, the pivotal moment arrived. When she ceased anticipating reciprocity, she began to show her happiness, say, "It's so nice to hear your voice. Where have you been?" His change to those barriers gradually fell down on her. Daughter ceased to shun her. The talks became more heated and prolonged as we cease keeping score and make room for love to breathe once more, guilt-free. Just connection is marked by an emotional tally, as if you're still in the moment and viewing this video and discovering these excellent insights. Kindly provide the comment number. Tell me you're here by placing 4 below. Additionally, if you haven't signed up yet, I advise you to sign up and activate the bell to ensure that you don't miss any of your support. It enables us to keep producing quality material to educate and motivate you right now. Let's move on to number 5. Unwillingness to accept assistance. As it may appear, it's honorable to declare, "I don't want to be a burden." However, if you're stating that if you consistently decline offers of assistance from your kids, you could be transmitting a message that wasn't your intention statement stating, "I don't trust you while you don't have to be in my life." They might respect it at first, but eventually it builds a barricade that people begin to feel worthless in your presence, such as their presence is unworthy of your existence, and when a parent refuses assistance for too long. Children frequently cease giving not because of spite, but it was so confused that it even ached. Additionally, there's a deeper layer here. Seniors view asking for assistance as a sign of weakness, as though requesting a trip or business at the physician's office entails their attempts for independence are failing. Yet their being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone. It's about understanding what you should hold and what to hold for someone else. I once knew Harold, an 82-year-old man who often turned down assistance, particularly from he would remark to his kid, "You have your life, I'll manage." So he continued to do so till the day he fell down his front steps he didn't break anything in the grocery, but his pride was more hurt than his hip. He didn't inquire when he called his son that evening. For purposes other than merely conversing, and for the first time in many years, he stated, "I believe sometimes I could need a helping hand." That a brief moment created an opportunity not only for assistance, but to be closer. His son went to more people, remained longer, and laughed more. Because Harold at last gave you permission to retain your dignity by taking care of yourself. Establish a relationship. You demonstrate trust. And for your kids, it becomes an opportunity to return the favor not out of duty, but out of affection. Allow them to feel as though they are needed. Be a genuine, palpable part of your life. Relationships develop in this way. The habit is stronger around age 6. Of guilt tripping among the most rapid methods to distance yourself from your kids without even knowing that it's to make them feel guilty. It need not be ostentatious or theatrical. Occasionally, it's as faint as a sigh when you never call the silence they leave behind. No longer, or a joke that seems more genuine, "I suppose I'm not significant enough." You might not mean damage these days, but you might simply expressing a sense of missing or loneliness them. But when remorse starts to consume you, express your wants, and it begins to where guilt doesn't pull people down. It turns them away as it gets closer. Affection into work and trips into commitments. And this is the most important. Adult children are already burdened with guilt. About not feeling guilty enough, about not coming with more remorse over their own hectic lives when further things are added. Even in tiny ways, they begin connecting your presence to feelings weight and nobody know of how much they want to keep carrying because they adore you. That weight, but there's another method. Try it instead of claiming you never go. Stating that your visit brightens my day. Say, "I rather than you don't care anymore. You still miss our time together." Getting truthful without getting hurt. You're not accusing me. I've already met you. A 76-year-old woman named Doris used to complain to her daughter all the time about feeling as though her daughter had been forgotten would come, but always appeared tense, as if one day she was preparing for something. Doris made a change and began expressing gratitude to her daughter whenever she visited. "I understand you're busy, and it is so important that you still find time for it. For me, it was like turning a page. Light switch, and her daughter arrived as well. She grinned and stayed longer more often. Greater thankfulness leads to space guilt. If you're still viewing this, close it. Watching the video and discovering these insights important. Kindly leave a comment at number 6 below to inform me of your presence and whether I suggest you, if you haven't subscribed yet. Turn on the bell and subscribe so you don't overlook any footage. Your assistance is invaluable. Let us keep producing quality information to educate and motivate you. And then let's go. For number 7, the denial of honor to their limits. One of the most difficult change in aging is realizing that your kids don't require your direction as they formerly did. However, a lot of parents, out of love, are afraid that habit keeps crossing the invisible line. Adult children's silently drawn lines. It begins with inquiries that sound beneficial but intrusive. Why don't you build instead of spending so much on that? Is your husband working? He's wearing a coat. Once more, they might appear casual inquiries, but to a grown child, they can feel like monitoring or passing judgment, like a gradual loss of autonomy. Boundaries are bridges, not walls, that enable wholesome intimacy. When a parent repeatedly violates the line by providing uninvited guidance, putting private thoughts and ideas into issues, or requesting updates on each, it erodes a part of their lives. Trust, it gives your kids a sense of they must instead justify their decisions. Then share them while honoring their boundaries. Do not imply distance. Means allowing them to be who they are. It entails holding off until they request your ideas rather than sharing them openly. It entails demonstrating your faith in their judgment, even if you disagree. Frank, 82, used to give his daughter a call every day, inquire about her children's school, even her finances and her husband's employment. She eventually stopped responding as much. Frank was unable to comprehend why until a friend gently informed him. You're making she felt like a teenager once more. Hit home, so he began to back off. He made calls every few days rather than every day, and he would start by asking, do you have a moment to talk? The shift, she called him more, feeling valued, excellent. And when your kids sense that, they get closer to you, not because of obligation but desire. Lastly, growing older does not imply turning invisible, nor does it imply holding fast to the past. It means gaining the ability to change in the relationships that, if you've ever wondered, matter most. Why can your relationship with your children feel more alienated at times? Compared to before, it's probably not concerning the disappearance of love. It's about changing borders without anyone noticing. I'm not sure how to discuss it, but now, aren't these 7 reminders just strategies to prevent resentment? They're resources to restore calm in your home, your heart, and your interactions. You don't need to be cautious. You merely must be vigilant, remain accessible, and remain kind. Kindness is what really binds us together. Thank you for participating across generations. We would be delighted to hear from you now. Share one and leave a remark below. Anything you discovered today in your planning strategy to apply to your life. Your ideas are vital to us, so please don't hesitate to share them after reading your remarks. Us a lot of inspiration and support if you found and liked this video useful. Kindly like, subscribe, and share. Your assistance enables us to keep producing excellent material to educate and motivate you. We appreciate you viewing, and we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming video.